Now that you know why I'm inspired to pick up the camera, I want to hear from you. Why are you inspired to pick up the camera? Why are you here today wanting to learn more about photography? There's something that's flipped a switch inside of you. It's giving you this desire to create something you've never created before. So what is that thing for you? Think about the stories or the experiences in your life that you are naturally drawn to and want to capture. And then ask yourself, why do I want to capture these stories? I want you to keep this question in mind always, because it's actually the first step to photo success. This is the first question we must ask ourselves before we even pick up the camera to take a shot. It's not only the first step to photo success, it is by far the most important. Every time we want to capture a story, something meaningful is happening in our experience. So what makes your stories meaningful to you? Once you begin to identify why you want to capture the different moments in your life, then you can take the next steps to creating and capturing your stories. So what are the 5 steps to photo success? These are 5 simple but powerful questions that I ask myself every single time I pick up the camera. They are guidelines to creating our stories. Think of them like a roadmap to your journey. They help us create structure, and they allow us to stay present to the ebbs and flows of any given moment we're trying to capture. Each one of these steps is easy to remember because they are natural questions you can ask yourself, and you'll know the answers to almost instantly. So before we go any further, let's go through the 5 steps to photo success right now. Grab your cheat sheet if you have it and follow along. Number 1, why am I inspired to capture this story? Number 2, what kind of light is there in my story? Number 3, how much movement do I want to capture in my story? Number 4, who am I focused on in my story? And number 5, where can I be creative? That's it. Those are the 5 steps to photo success. Just rinse and repeat with every click, with every new story you discover and want to tell. Each one of these steps builds upon the next. So, step 2, 3, and 4 all have to do with how your camera is going to see your story. In this course, this is when you're going to learn about the settings on your camera. The first step and step number 5 have to do with you, the storyteller, the creator. So always remember, this starts and ends with you. And most importantly, as we dive into each one of these steps, we must keep this first step at the forefront of our minds always. It doesn't matter if I'm doing a brand photo shoot or family beach portraits, or if I'm out on a travel adventure. No matter what kind of shot I'm capturing, I have to ask myself this question before I consider setting any settings on my camera. Why am I inspired to pick up the camera? Why am I inspired to shoot this story? So what is it that inspires us? What is it about certain moments in our lives that give us that urge? And why is this urge so natural for so many of us? It's actually quite simple. When you get that urge, something very instinctive is happening to you. You are connecting to an innate feeling inside of you. And as human beings, we are natural-born storytellers. So as soon as we feel connected to something, we naturally want to create a story about it. Now add to that we are also visual creatures, and you can start to get a sense as to why we all love photography so much. We develop by connecting to our experiences through our 5 senses, through our physical bodies. The way that we hear, the way that we feel, smell, taste, and definitely the way that we see all come together to create our emotional connections to our experiences, and ultimately they come together to create the memories and the stories we want to capture and create. So before we can know how to create a visual story with the camera, we have to take a step back and look at the big picture, pun intended. We have to become aware of all these aspects in our experience that we feel connected to. We have to know why we're connected in the first place in order to know how best to capture that story through visual imagery. Think of it like this. When we build awareness, we're actually stepping into the present moment. We're identifying the elements of life that make this moment in time worth documenting to us. Your individual stories are unique. In every given moment, there are countless elements in your experience that you can choose to connect to. But there are three main elements that stand out far more than any others. These three elements essentially make up everything else going on in our lives. Can you guess what they are? They are light, movement, and focus. Everything we know falls into one of these three elements. And when we begin to connect with these elements in any given moment, we can discover what makes that moment unique. This is how we become present. This is how we discover the best story we want to capture. These elements are what grab our attention, affect our experiences, and ultimately shape our memories. This is a really profound yet simple concept I want you to understand. Your life is your story. And the more you become aware of your physical experience through your five senses, the more you will become aware of your power to not only affect your experience, but to take creative control of it. And the first step to taking creative control is knowing that your stories matter. Not just believing, but knowing. And that's why we ask ourselves why before we pick up the camera. Photography is our reflection of life. As storytellers, to capture our viewers' attention, we must balance our settings to get a proper exposure. Meaning, we must become aware of the light, the movement, and the focus we want to capture in our stories. By asking ourselves why, we can prioritize what matters most. Creativity doesn't come from up here in our heads. We cannot think our way through a creative story we want to capture. Yes, of course, you will need to understand the technical aspects of the camera, and we will get to that, I promise. But that is not the essence of photography, and that is certainly not the reason you are here today. You're here to bring your stories to life, to create your storyteller's journey. This is about your unique creative perspective, not just any old stories, your stories. So, to really tap into our creativity, we have to get out of our heads. We have to get into our bodies and begin to feel through our five senses. Like I said, this is not only the first step to photo success, it is the most important because without it, you can't answer any of the other questions. You can't take the next step. The power of this creative tool, your camera, is only as powerful as you are. It cannot do its job without you first realizing and discovering what that story is you want to bring to life. There are endless combinations of ways that you can capture your story, whether you have a camera in your hand or not. It's up to you to decide how you want to live your life, how you want to take in your experiences by remembering your why. This is about how you choose to experience life and the power you have to explore it curiously, passionately, and purposefully. This is how we're going to discover the best versions of our stories. So let's stop thinking for a moment, okay? I want you to feel into this moment. Take a deep breath. Relax into your physical experience wherever you are right now. And just start to become present. You may be sitting in front of your computer. You may be gripping your camera tight, like, Danielle, just give me the formula. Give me the answers. Tell me, what do I do? How do I take a good picture? But I want you to put the camera down for a minute and just relax and start to really enjoy the moment. Because just like everything great in life, tapping into your creativity takes time and patience. And let me tell you, that is a learning journey I am on every day. We have to give ourselves permission. So give yourself permission right now to take time and allow yourself to drop into this space, your physical reality, because this is where you will truly start to connect with your camera, your story, and ultimately yourself. This is when a deeper sense of awareness takes over and your creativity and confidence can begin to override any doubts you have. So start connecting with your physical senses and become present. And when you do, I promise, your unique creativity will show up effortlessly and your stories will come to life naturally. Now, I want you to start thinking about those types of stories you want to capture and keep them at the forefront of your mind as we go through this whole course. Above all the technical stuff, in all those moments when you're learning and you feel stuck or frustrated or start to feel defeated, I want you to remind yourself why you are here. And remember that your stories matter and they deserve to be shared. So, are you really ready to stop shooting and living in auto mode? Now that you're starting to feel physically connected to the stories you want to capture, I want you to do one thing before you move on to anything else. I want you to get out your notebook right now and jot down the stories you've been feeling into. Fill the first pages of your notebook with your personal inspiration, your whys. Is it that you love to travel and you want to capture these epic moments you've never seen before? Do you have a growing family that you want to capture every stage of your children's lives? Maybe you have a small business that needs constant social media content and you really just want to stand out from the crowd. Or maybe you just love picking up the camera. Maybe you just love the act of using this creative tool to bring you into the present moment and make you enjoy life. No matter what gives you that urge, I want you to write it down right now in your notebook before you do anything else. Once you feel energized and inspired by your whys, then I know you're ready for the next video. And you are going to love this next video. This is where I'm gonna share with you a huge secret about photography that I know is gonna make everything start to click. We'll see you there.